Hello everybody, my name is Alexander de Poder. I'm a Porsche certified brand ambassador at Champion Porsche in South Florida, and thank you so much for watching my YouTube videos. If you appreciate my YouTube walk around videos, consider subscribing to my channel. Please hit that like button and feel free to comment down below. You can also contact me directly via cell phone or email with my contact information being in the video description. In today's walk around video, we're going to highlight the new Generation 911 GT3 Touring. This is the 2026 992 Generation 2 GT3 Touring. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I also did the 992.2 GT3, but that was the wing car. And this is the first Touring to be now featured on my YouTube channel. In today's walk around video, we're going to highlight the build specification on this specific car, talk about all the details on the outside and inside, and of course talk about the latest generation GT3 Touring in general. I'll also link the previous video in there, so if you want to see the version of the wing car, feel free to check it out. Again, today we're going to focus on the Touring version, so the wingless GT3. Now, the 992 generation GT3 in general was introduced in model year 2022, was produced from 22 to 24 as a 992 generation 1, and now for 2025, a short run, and the new 26, we have the 992 generation 2, the updated and revised version of the 992 GT3 Touring version. So we're going to start with the exterior details in terms of what Porsche has redesigned. It's going to be starting with the front. We're also going to see redesign on the rear. But let's start, of course, first with this updated front fascia. We're going to see a completely new front fascia design versus the Generation 1 of the 992. Especially the air blade section that you can see here on both sides is completely different to the Generation 1 car. Much sharper in angles. Another reason why this is so different is that the previous generation between 22 and 24 actually had a light element placed in the front fascia. As you can see, there are no lights in the front bumper whatsoever anymore. Everything is now within the new updated LED headlights. This, from an aerodynamic standpoint, works more efficiently. Also, aerodynamics in terms of downforce, of course, are very important. So we're also going to see a very different front splitter to the previous generation. Now, we run a different splitter from the wing car to the Touring, as the Touring, of course, is a little bit less focused on overall downforce. It's really the GT3 for the road. Of course, you can track the GT3 Touring as well, as it does have some downforce and incredible mechanical grip level, but the main focus for Porsche, of course, is the GT3 Touring to be the road car. You can also see this new beautiful mesh in the front here with the 911 name also in there. Cool, very cool detail. The hood is basically the same design as the .1 992, still made out of carbon fiber. It might not be visible as it is painted, in this case, in oak green neo, but both the hood is made out of carbon fiber like the previous generation, but also the fenders, like the previous generation, also once again made out of carbon fiber. Now, this specific one is something called a Leichtbau pack version. Leichtbau stands for lightweight package. Now, a lightweight package is something new for the GT3 Touring. Very cool elements, as some of the RS features are now carried over to the GT3 Touring. Meaning, for example, this roof is now made out of carbon fiber. Once again, it's not visible, but the actual material is carbon fiber, where normally the standard non-Leichtbau vehicle has an aluminum roof. Also, the wheels, you're going to see that this is a different wheel design to the standard GT3 wheels. The reason is these are the magnesium wheels derived from the 911 ST. Now, magnesium, of course, an even lighter material than aluminum, but also the design itself is different. You might also notice these very big cutouts that we also saw on the 911 ST in terms of weight savings. You can see here as I run my finger through the spokes of this center locking wheel. Still 20 inches in the front, 21 inches in the back. In this case with the Pirelli P0 Corsa tires, extremely sticky tires, of course, for very high mechanical grip. So again, for the Leichtbau package, it includes the magnesium wheels. We're going to have the carbon fiber roof on the inside. We're also going to see some details for the Leichtbau package, including the shorter shifter. But also on the outside, we're going to see that the car has carbon fiber sway bars and also a carbon fiber underbody panel that is specific only for the Leichtbau vehicles. Now, you can see that this one is finished with the silver accents. So the window trim, for example, available in two different colors, the aluminum or chrome as some people call it, but there's also a black version, and that ties in also to the back end where the exhaust tips for this one also once again finished in the silver. Now, if you ask Mr. Andreas Poinier, the head of the GT department, he says this is the way to go. Silver wheels, silver window trim, but of course that's going to be personal for everybody. On the back, we're going to see the updated 992.2 tail light design, of course, again, quite different to the Generation 1. Much more three-dimensional, in my opinion, versus the Generation 1. But another big change really here is this little gurney flap. Again, derived from the 911 ST from an aerodynamic standpoint. They found out that on the Generation 1, the spoiler had to go to a certain height to create the right downforce, but from an aesthetic standpoint, that doesn't appeal too much. So they decided to add the gurney flap from the 911 ST on here, where the wing does not have to deploy to the same height to create the aerodynamic balance that they were looking for. Also, the diffuser is different. Now on the Generation 1, the diffuser between the wing car and the Touring was the same. Now the Touring has a bespoke diffuser. So you can imagine from an aerodynamic standpoint, this is therefore not the same as on the wing car. And again, downforce of course is of less importance on the Touring than the wing car, but you still have to have that overall aerodynamic balance that Porsche is looking for. The new three-dimensional effect also on the Porsche name on the back. The engine still the iconic 4-liter flat six, revving out to 9,000 RPM. They do, from a emission standpoint, did heavily revise the engine to be compliant with the newest regulations, which are very strict, especially in Europe. So this vehicle has now 4 catalytic converters, but still producing that same amount of power. And a very key thing is the shorter gearing, as this one has now the same gearing as the iconic 911 ST, which is 8% shorter. So with the same power and the 8% shorter gearing, an immediate performance and an extra alive type of engine feel, especially when you hit those 9,000 RPM. Okay, we can also see that this one has the cool stripe, that's a factory option. So the silver stripe starting on the back, going over the roof to the front. This is a highly appointed vehicle, so we have Oak Green Neo, the new version of Oak Green. Now Oak Green used to be a paint to sample color, and when Porsche does something like this called Oak Green Neo, it's basically their modern day interpretation of a classic paint to sample color in this case. This one also equipped with the PCCB, the Porsche Carbon Composite Brake System, of course the gigantic carbon ceramic rotors both in the front as in the rear. Again, of course, I mentioned the Pirelli P0 tires. This is the R version of the P0. And then a 315 rear section, so nice wide tire. You can also see carbon fiber mirror caps for the Leichtbau. And the rest again is going to happen on the inside. With the heavily revised interior design for the DOT2, we're going to see a completely digital instrument cluster. But one of the biggest changes on the inside is the new generation carbon fiber lightweight bucket seats. So replacing the previous generation, which was very iconic, 918, GT4, 718 Spider, GT3 for the 991 and 992 generation, but now the DOT2 has a completely redeveloped lightweight carbon fiber bucket seat. The key thing there is that the back is now actually, you can fold it forward, and the big news there is the ability for the Touring to be ordered with optional back seats. So Porsche listened to many Touring owners around the world, where many Touring owners were wishing Porsche would make a GT3 Touring from factory with back seats, and now we have the factory solution. So yes, this is a Leichtbau with the optional back seats. So if you want to have some extra people on board to feel the amazing experience of driving a GT3 on the Touring, now you can. Now again, also with this one being a Leichtbau, I mentioned earlier there's some other things on the inside. So we're going to see the door panels basically very similar to the GT3 RS of the 992 generation. As you can see, this is a carbon fiber door handle in the inside. You can also see the door nets here on the bottom, again derived from the GT3 RS, but the standard non-Leichtbau or non-lightweight vehicle has the classic door panel, not the use of the carbon fiber, not having the net. And also the Leichtbau has the carbon fiber inlay in both the dashboard and this beautiful black leather in this case with this embossing, this beautiful pattern, which we also saw in the previous generation, but again it is part of the Leichtbau package. So carbon inlay, the carbon door handle, the nets, the carbon roof, the carbon sway bars, the carbon fiber underbody panel in the rear, many, the magnesium wheels, a lot of components. I believe it's about 48 pounds of weight savings for the Leichtbau, and in a car like that with 500 horsepower, just over 500, that's quite a big savings. Okay, let's take a look at this shifter. So available in both PDK as manual. Most of course the Tourings historically have always been manual transmission, and again with the Leichtbau package we're also getting the 1 centimeter or 10 millimeter shorter shifter, so exactly the same shifter height as the 911 ST, and again with that same gearing as I mentioned earlier being 8% shorter. Let's go to the other side of the vehicle, where we're going to see that this one of course has that updated instrument cluster. For the Carrera models, Porsche changed from a traditional moving key basically to a button, but on the GT3 products they are still using the same switch as on the Generation 1 992. So again, this one has now the full digital instrument cluster, big revision versus the previous one. Cool thing about it is that you can now customize, of course, what you're seeing in front of you to a very large degree, and also the ability to read the information through the steering wheel in a very easy way, where in my opinion on the previous analog cluster it was a little bit more challenging to get all the information there. Again, this is a highly appointed vehicle with a beautiful silver stitching, as you can see. Leather, the chrono on top of the dash finished in white. Yellow seat belts, extended dashboards, and also here you can see the side sail wrapped in beautiful leather, carbon fiber LED illuminated side sails. Of course, most of the people would prefer the front axle lift system, which this one also has. The Bose speakers. So yeah, very nicely appointed. Nice combination of oak green neo with the silver accents, and then with the carbon ceramic calipers finished in yellow with the yellow belt, gives that extra little detail. I want to thank you for joining me on this YouTube walk-around video. Again, I'll link the video to the GT3 wing car from a couple of weeks ago in the video description. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Feel free to comment down below if you like my walk-around videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.